If you've got shoulder pain in the front of your shoulder and it's not from a traumatic injury, but it's the type that kind of gradually gets worse over time or comes and goes with certain activities, then you've got to make sure your rehab program includes this one thing that I've found is missing from a lot of rehab programs. Coach E from Precision Movement here with another video showing you unique exercises that you can do in the comfort of your own home to help you move freely and without pain. And today I'm talking about shoulder pain. And for those of you who have been following us for a while, and especially those who have the Shoulder Pain Solution program, the concept is not going to be new to you. But some of the exercises and the sequence of exercises will be useful in your continued path to movement longevity. So whether you've followed us for a while or you're new here, stick around and you'll get some new information to help you move freely and without pain. The concept that I'm talking about today with respect to shoulder pain, where if you're missing applying this, you're not going to resolve your shoulder pain for good, or you're going to have trouble getting over a hump, is posture, specifically thoracic spine posture. And that's from about here to about here. This is your thoracic spine. If you don't have good thoracic spine posture, and if you don't have the ability to actively extend your thoracic spine and stabilize your thoracic spine, that active component is key, then your shoulder pain is likely to persist. Now, I did a little bit of digging in the research before doing this video, and I found a really great study that was just published in 2023. The study is titled Biomechanical and Functional Analysis of the Shoulder Complex and Thoracic Spine in Patients with Subacromial Impingement Syndrome. 108 participants were included in the study, and they were classified into two groups. One, the subacromial impingement syndrome group, and two, the control or healthy group. The researchers measured shoulder and thoracic range of motion, scapular position, and isokinetic shoulder strength. And related to today's video, what the researchers found was that the thoracic spine range of motion showed significantly limited extension in the subacromial impingement syndrome group compared to the controls. And the researchers state that these results suggest the need for interventions to improve the limited thoracic extension and altered scapular position, which may affect shoulder range of motion and muscle strength in the rehab of patients with impingement syndrome. So this study clearly shows the correlation between poor thoracic spine extension and suffering from shoulder impingement syndrome. But why is this? Well, if you've got poor thoracic spine posture and you're stuck in this rounded posture and you can't straighten yourself up, that automatically puts your shoulder blades, your scapula, in an anterior tilt. So it's as if you had a cup of water sitting on top of your shoulder blade and you're dumping it forward anteriorly. So your shoulder blade is going to rest in that posture, and every time you lift up your arm, whether it's to throw something or do an overhead press, you're going to impinge. Could be the rotator cuff tendon, could be the biceps tendon, could be the bursa, the subacromial bursa. You're going to impinge or pinch something in there, and you do that over and over, and that's going to cause inflammation and pain. So that's one reason why thoracic spine posture is important. Another reason why is because if you've got a good ability to actively extend the thoracic spine, that means the muscles can do it, then you have a good platform from which to get scapular stability. Because your thoracic spine is going to be stable, then the scapular muscles like the rhomboids, the serratus anterior, those muscles are going to have a stable platform from which to work to give your shoulders the stability it needs through stable scapula. So there's two really important reasons why having good ability to actively extend the thoracic spine and good thoracic spine resting posture is important for long-term shoulder health and for recovery from shoulder pain. So how do we go about improving our thoracic spine posture and our ability to actively extend the thoracic spine? Well, that's what we're going to go through right now with 3 exercises. The first exercise for your thoracic spine posture is using a foam roller, and it's called the Segmental Thoracic Mobilization. Now, it's a little bit different than just the standard extending over the foam roller like so, which is not bad, it's a good thing. We're just adding a couple components to further improve it. So you start off at the bottom of your thoracic spine, so that's kind of at the bottom of my shoulder blades. And the first movement I'm going to perform is extension and flexion over the foam roller. So you can see I'm moving under control and I'm actively moving myself up and down. The next movement, I'm going to stay extended over. We're going to do a side bend. So I'm bringing my elbow towards my thigh or my armpit towards my thigh. And I'm trying to move from where the roller is and up. Everything down below that stays still. So I do 3 reps there, and then I'm going to bring my elbows in, stay extended over, and just do a little bit of rotation. So those 3 movements will help to wake up various muscles deep in the spine, and you do that up the spine. And we're going to mobilize the joints in extensions. We're going to passively extend over there, but then we're activating the muscles through the movements to help to keep that range of motion or keep that extra mobility that we gain by extending over. So if we just hang out over there and just passively stretch, just hanging out for 30 to 60 seconds, yes, we're going to mobilize the joint and we'll have the capability, the potential to get into thoracic extension, but you need that active muscular component and that strength to solidify that ability so that your brain knows you can control this movement, you can control this range of motion, so your brain lets you keep whatever range that you gain by extending over the roller. So this exercise, do 3 or 4 segments of the thoracic spine. You do those 3 moves for 3 reps each, and then you're good to go to the next exercise. The second exercise is a new one that I've come up with because I found a lot of people were having difficulty with my favorite thoracic spine extension exercise, which I'll throw a link up here for you to check out. It's a very popular video that we have on hunchback. And this exercise that we're going to do now is called the stability ball or SB T-spine extension. And this exercise makes it a little bit easier to get those muscles called the multifidus, which are responsible for extending the thoracic spine segmentally, so vertebrae to vertebrae. This exercise can really help to get those muscles fired up so that you can feel them. And once you can feel them, then you start to use them in other exercises. When you're standing in line at the grocery store, you can wake this muscle up and just make sure that it's awake on a regular basis, because a lot of the things we do in everyday life shut this muscle off when we're on our phones, when we're driving, sitting. This muscle's not working. So we want to keep it alive. For this exercise, you need a stability ball, and you're going to start off just slumping over top of it. And the key point here is you want to round the lumbar spine. So you just want to hug the ball with your spine and your crotch and just have a good time there. You just want to get relaxed, but make sure that this is rounded. If this is not rounded, it's not going to be as effective. From here, there's 2 options. One, because a lot of people have really weak multifidus muscles, keep your hands on the ground. So it just takes a little bit of weight off these muscles and helps you to better activate. So you start off fully slumped over the ball. And from here, keep your chin tucked. So you're kind of looking down towards the ball. You're going to extend from the top up until you get extended to about there. So you're keeping everything down here flexed or rounded. And then everything up here, you're going to extend, but you're going to keep your chin tucked. And then you're going to hold this, keep your hands on the ground to start. And what you're trying to feel, you're going to hold it for 10 seconds, is the muscles between the bottom of the neck and the bottom of the shoulder blades, close to the spine. You're trying to feel those muscles on. Those are the multifidus muscles. I'll have a graphic up here at some point, or maybe I've already shown it, to show you where these lie. Again, you start with your hands on the ground, slump over, make sure you just feel your back, make sure it's rounded. It's not extended like that. It's not extended, your butt's not up in an anterior tilt, posterior tilt. So you're having fun with this ball. And you're down, slumped over, relaxed. Keep this rounded, hands on the ground to start, keeping your chin tucked, and then you're extending up, keeping the chin tucked, looking down towards the ball, and trying to feel those muscles deep, close to the spine, holding you in this position. Now, when you've done that a few times, and you start to feel those muscles, then we can try the same thing. But when you come up, get there, you start to feel those muscles, then you can just lift the hands off the ground. And what this is going to do is going to increase the weight that those muscles have to hold. So it's going to increase their strength relative to this version. keep doing that. And then the final version you could try is you could try without the hands on the ground at all. And same thing, just extend up, keeping your hands, and then get your hands up to your temples. And this last variation is going to further increase the amount of weight that those multifidus muscles have to hold in that position and have to deal with when you're lifting up, when you're coming up and going into the extended posture. So there's different variations there. Start at the lower variation just to wake those muscles up with your hands on the ground. And then once you could feel them, then you know what it's like to activate them and how to keep them on. And if you go to a variation or you progress to a variation that's too hard, you're not going to feel those muscles anymore. They're going to shut off. You're going to compensate with the long extensors of the spine, and you're not going to get the benefits we're after. So for this exercise, once you've got it down, start off doing 2 to 3 sets. You can do 4 to 6 repetitions, but you want to make sure you hold for 10 seconds or even a bit longer so that you can really feel those muscles working. And once you feel them working, you're creating that mind to muscle connection, and then they're yours as long as you keep them going. The third and final exercise for today is one that you've probably done before or at least seen before. It's a cable row. And there's just one subtle cue that I want you to pay attention to ensure that your multifidus muscles, which are the muscles between here and here, are active during this exercise. And this is why I don't do this with a one-arm dumbbell row where you're supporting yourself or a bent over row, because it's harder to ensure that those muscles are on doing this exercise. Side benefit of doing a row is we start to get the shoulder muscles themselves working and working in a way that can help to avoid this common shoulder impingement syndrome or just general shoulder pain. So set up a cable about just above the belly button level, get some tension on it right off the get-go, and your starting posture is one of anterior pelvic tilt, so sticking my butt out, like I'm going for those Instagram likes, and lumbar extension. So I'm not tucked under and I'm not flexed, but I'm sticking my butt out, getting into lumbar extension. So I've got a lot of extended curve through the lumbar spine there. From here, as I row, I'm going into the opposite posture. So posterior pelvic tilt, squeezing the butt, flexing the lumbar spine slightly, and then rowing, pulling the shoulder blades together, keeping my chin tall. And then we can reset back to the start position, sticking the butt out, lumbar extension, and then rowing as I'm going into posterior pelvic tilt. So I'm squeezing the butt and flexing ever so slightly the lumbar spine. So it's just a smooth sequence. And I'm doing this for 8 to 10 repetitions, around that range. What's more important is the form and the cues. I'm doing this because when I go into lumbar flexion, I make sure I keep the lumbar extensors from hypertensing up, and I shut off those long erector spinae muscles that span from down here all the way up here. We've got these lumbar, or the long thoracic and longissimus and thoracic, all these long extensor muscles through the back. If we could shut those muscles off, that forces the deeper muscles to work more to maintain this posture up here and through the thoracic spine. And the multifidus are those muscles. So that's why we do this very specific and subtle movement of the pelvis and the lumbar spine so that it can help you to solidify these multifidus muscles and your ability to actively extend and stabilize your thoracic spine. To quickly recap the exercises we went through today, we started off with the segmental thoracic mob. For this, do 3 to 4 areas of your spine, performing the 3 different movements for 3 reps each. Then we move to the stability ball thoracic spine extension. Do 2 sets of 4 to 6 repetitions, holding each rep for 10 seconds and really feel those multifidus muscles working. Finally, we end off with the cable row exercise and that subtle cue of starting in an anterior pelvic tilt and extended lumbar spine position and moving to the posterior pelvic tilt and flexed lumbar spine position as you row. Do 2 to 3 sets of 8 to 10 repetitions and do this routine 3 to 4 days a week to solidify your posture and help your painful shoulders. There we have today's video. If you've got shoulders, then this concept is really, really important. Everybody needs to improve their posture anyway, but I thought I'd hook you in with the shoulder pain angle. And now that you've seen it, you can't unsee it. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to explore some of our other videos, we've got a couple here and here that are related to this topic. And of course, like I said before, the shoulder pain solution is for you if you've got shoulder pain and you want me to guide you from A to B to Z to resolving your shoulder pain for good.